Alright, so this is going to be my review on Batman Gothic. Now, as I'm told, and I could be wrong about this, but apparently from what I'm told, this is the first time Grant Morrison wrote Batman. The artwork is also... I could be wrong, by the way. I think this came before Arkham Asylum, but I could be wrong. This could have come after, but it feels like... And a lot of people have said Batman Gothic comes first, before Arkham Asylum, but they're two separate books from Batman books from Grant Morrison, so... yeah. Anyway, this is good. This is, like I said, Grant Morrison writes the book, and Klaus Janson does the artwork. This is probably, I gotta say right off the bat, this is probably one of the darkest Batman books I've read in a while. This is also a very, creepy Batman book. I wouldn't say scared. Creeped out is the better word. There are some very creepy moments in here, and very dark dialogue, even from Bruce. What this story is basically about is basically a villain known as Mr. Whisper is going around killing mob bosses. And you think that'd be a good thing, but he's killing them off gratuitously, and he also has this big plot involving Gotham Cathedral. This, like I said, is a very creepy book. I mean, Morrison's writing. Now, we all know Grant Morrison's writing on Batman currently has been, good. I think it's pretty good. And it can go from either campy or very dark. This is dark all the way through. It has one kind of campy scene, but it's still very disturbing at the... There's actually a trap Mr. Whisper puts Batman in that's a really, really 60s camp, but then when he explains it, it comes off really dark. Yeah. Now, I didn't really have a problem with anything in this book. The pacing was great. The overlapping mystery was fantastic. I gotta say, the mystery to this book is just, towards the end, all through this entire book, I was like, what's gonna happen next? What's gonna happen next? Now, Klaus Janson's artwork. Excuse me. Klaus Janson's artwork is okay in my opinion. I think it's okay. Now, we all know he did the artwork for Frank Miller's run in Daredevil. But here it's actually kind of good. The problem I have with Klaus's artwork is that the anatomy looks really weird on everything. It just looks like everything, all the anatomy, especially on facial expressions, looks really weird. I mean, one moment a character's eyes are sunk into its head, then bulging out. But here it kind of works. It kind of adds to the darkness to this story. And he actually does really good shading, which is a good thing for this book. Also, blood's very dark and arterial in here. So I don't hate Klaus Janson's artwork at all. Sometimes it just bothers me because the anatomy goes off sometimes, and some of the lines are kind of really dark. Some of the outlines are just really dark. But all in all, this is just his artwork really fits, especially with Batman Gothic. And let me tell you, the artwork is meant to be really Gothic, so I can see why Morrison and Janson really wanted to go for this. And it really does go for a Gothic tone. Everything in here, from the story itself. Another thing I want to add about this story is it kind of involves a little more on Bruce Wayne's past. It involves him as a child, him talking to Alfred, talking about Alfred in his days at a private school. Which is actually interesting in itself. I mean, there are some really, really dark moments for that. And the character of Mr. Whisper, now, I think the villain was very well developed. I mean, it's no surprise. I mean, you pretty much figure out that this Mr. Whisper guy was more or less Bruce's headmaster when he was a kid. But, what makes it is Whisper is such a creepy ass villain that you kind of figure it out at the beginning, but you pretty much know that this guy means business. Now, Mr. Whisper's origin is more or less he actually sold his soul to the devil. He was a monk. He was a monk who more or less sold his soul to the devil and gave him, life for it. Give him 300 years of eternal life. And the monastery he was living at, he turned it all into a satanic monastery, and they even, captured some nuns and raped them and murdered them and sacrificed them to the devil. And then he went on to keep surviving by, murder, blood sacrifices and all that. In fact, when he was headmaster, he murdered 7 children, and then came to Gotham and was about to murder Bruce. He intended on killing Bruce Wayne when he was a kid, if not his father didn't pull him out of the school. So that's it's all around just creepy. Now, Mr. Whisper is just insane, and the reason why he goes after these crime lords is also, it makes sense, but also it's like, wow, he's doing such gratuitous things to these people, and he's doing it not only out of revenge, but also out of fun and boredom. Because he's immortal. The dude can't die. I mean, Batman even throws him through a train, and it doesn't even faze him. I mean, he even gets run over by a subway train, and then gets thrown through another one. So, even falling from a 40-story building, the works. I really dig it when, I really dig, yes, I'm using the word dig, I really like it when sometimes Batman's thrown into a supernatural setting, especially with something dark, dark supernatural stuff, because it's really out of Batman's element. I mean, he's usually fighting logical science, never something out of the supernatural. But the thing is that you have to handle it, Batman fighting the supernatural well, and Morrison handles, this story well. It's just maddening, and what happens at the end to Whisper is something to behold. But basically, what happens to Mr. Whisper at the end, you're like, haha, gotcha. You're kind of satisfied with his demise. There's also, the overlapping origin of Mr. Whisper is just disturbing on its own. I explained it. I know I explained it a bit, but you have to read it for yourself to, understand the full madness of Whisper. Now, this book is kind of short. It's just one trade. I got it for about $12.95. This was, this is a really cheap novel, book. I know it's in America it's $12.95, and you probably more or less in other countries. But all in all, this is a good Batman read. I think it's totally underrated too. Not a lot of people know what Batman Gothic is. People just overlook Batman Gothic, which is kind of a shame, because I actually, when I first heard about this story, I was like, that sounds like an okay story. But then I heard more about it, and I'm like, okay, I want to read it. And sure enough, when I was getting those Flashpoint books, I found this. I really wanted to read it, and I'm like, ooh, I want to get this, because I was actually torn between this and Daredevil books in a Daredevil comic. I only had enough money to buy the Flashpoint books in one of those. So, yeah, I chose the Batman book. As much as I want to read more Daredevil books, I really wanted to read this Batman book. Read Batman Gothic. So, or more or less, this is a 5 out of 5. Like I said, I think this is completely underrated. A lot of people should read Batman Gothic. If you love dark and sinister, if you like dark Batman, dark stories involving Batman and no Robin, or, no lightheartedness to it, get this book. You'll love Batman Gothic. It truly is Gothic. So, there's absolutely no campiness. Grant Morrison keeps a very upbeat, sinister story for Bruce Wayne. And actually Bruce says a cool line in here. He basically compares Gotham to hell, and then he appears out of the shadow saying, "And I am the king of hell." So, which for Gotham may be appropriate. So, all in all, this is a 5 out of 5 for me. Go check it out. Go get. I definitely highly recommend Batman Gothic. This is actually, after reading this is actually now one of my top 5 Batman stories. Number 1 still being The Long Halloween. But yeah, I hope you guys find this. This is actually really cheap. Like I said, $12.95 for the trade. Hope you guys find it out. It's a good read.